Okay, today we have practice number 5, so that means full pads, and we will be able to do a lot of hitting, and I think you guys are coming out there today, if I'm not mistaken, and so much like we've done in the past, you guys will get out there and be able to, we'll stretch for about 5 minutes, and then we'll do special team stuff for about 15 minutes, and then we'll do that good old Oklahoma drill that everybody likes to watch. Kids get fired up about it being a live contact drill. We've had 2 pretty good practices the last 2 days. Yesterday was more of a kind of a review day. The previous day we kind of got after it a little bit. There's a lot of energy out there, even a few fights, which is always fun to watch. So, but the guys are in a good spot. They're excited about where they're at, and I know they're really looking forward to getting out there and being able to do some things. So, after you guys leave, we'll finish with a team period that will involve a little bit of tackling for the first time. So, we'll be pretty fired up to watch that. Then I'll take some questions.
Ever think of changing the name of the Oklahoma drill?
Yes, that's been brought up every year. I almost said something different a few minutes ago. It's just what everybody. That's just what it is. Nothing against the great state of Oklahoma.
What have you seen out of the defense so far? When Coach Gibson was out on Saturday, he said they're throwing a lot of stuff at the defense and just kind of seeing what sticks at this point. With their installation, what have you seen out of their progress?
They're doing a lot. After 4 days, they're doing a lot of good stuff. I thought we did too much stuff last year. I don't know exactly what you're referring to as far as a lot of different people being out there, a lot of different looks. I think we've kind of simplified our fronts and coverages a little bit from what we've done in the past couple of years, which I thought was important. They're lining up quickly. We're playing a lot of different bodies. It's hard to rep 4 deep. There's a few positions we have on defense where we're repping 4 deep. So a lot of different bodies. We're lining up quickly, playing with a tremendous amount of energy, which is obviously good to see. So it's still a little early. Today's the first day that we tackle, so obviously we know more after that.
4 deep, you kind of said with a smile there. How night and day is this compared to last year from what you're seeing in terms of defensive depth?
All positions are deeper. We're not plugging true freshmen in the 2 deep. The only I guess there's 2 true freshmen that are in the 2 deep. And that's Draymond Henry and William Crest is taking some second team reps. So whether they end up there or not, that's just night and day compared to where it's been in the past. Not just last year, but the year before. And even the year before, we had a lot of true freshmen in the 2 deep. That's not the case now.
Coach, if it was up to you, would you rather tackle earlier in camp or a little bit later?
Well, you get, what the recommendation is you get about 12 days, which I think is about right. That's why yesterday, it was more of a review day. We're going to have some more review days in the coming weeks, but preseason lasts, I guess, 3.5 weeks. You get about 12 opportunities to tackle in 3.5 weeks. So, which is about what we did last year. It's not a whole lot different than what we did last year. Because we have a lot more bodies, as opposed to a 30-play line period, it may be a 50-play line period. So, this camp is designed to keep these guys healthy, and we'll have a lot of recovery time. We're not having to put a guy out there and get 50 reps on him, per day in a live situation. So the goal is to get out of camp with enough reps to be able to be in game shape, but also be healthy and fresh and ready to play that first game.
You mentioned William Crest. Do you have to make a decision on him maybe earlier than other true freshmen on what you want to do with him, just because you got to force feed him a lot of reps if he's going to play?
Not really, because we got our starter. if we didn't have our starter and we were trying to figure out, much like last year, try to rep 3 guys to figure out who our starter was, that would have hurt a true freshman like William. Because we have our starter, because we have another senior in Paul Millard who's taking more reps than anybody around here, he knows what to do. He doesn't need the reps. He knows what to do. It's enabling us to be able to rep him. You know, and I don't know how he's going to continue to progress. He's talented. He understands. You know, he doesn't understand what we're doing, but he understands that he's going to get reps, and he knows he's going to make mistakes, and it's just about learning from those mistakes. So, because we have a starter, because we have another senior, it allows us to be able to dump a bunch of reps in here to see where he can get, because nobody knows where he can get here in the next month. He doesn't know it, and we don't know it.
Coach, we said we're going to get to see some special teams tonight during the open media practice partially. Who do you expect to be vying for the return specialist on the team this year?
Well, it's a huge emphasis for us right now. We led the Big 12 in punt. You know, we got all those guys coming back. You know, Josh Lambert had a good year. You know, he's going to be able to come back. Our kickoff guys are fine. The return game is what's important. And again, I've said this each and every year. It's not, you know, we didn't find out who our 2 best return guys were until about mid-season last year. You got Smallwood back. You got Mario back. Those 2 guys are very, very, very capable return guys, but it takes the other 9 people in front of them to be able to work techniques, and that's where the depth comes. You know, you're 4 deep at linebacker. Well, those linebacker bodies are guys that are typically the front line, you know, or the second line guys that can get good at their techniques. You know, and you know, there's been times in the past where we've had to put starters in there because those are the only capable bodies that we had. So. You know, but anyway, you know, to answer your question, Darryl Worley's a return guy, Draymond Henry's a return guy. Shelton Gibson's going to have an opportunity to be a return guy. Russell Shell has returned in the past. So we got a lot of good quality bodies that can do it, and those guys are going to have to compete for it. From a punt return perspective, you know, Mario's back there much more comfortable. Jordan Thompson's extremely reliable. You know, so we got guys. You know, again, it's not just about the return guy. There's very few Tavon Austins that can make 8 people miss, you know, and not block a soul and still make 8 people miss and go score. Very few of those guys, so you got to be able to block people up front.
You touched on it the other day, but considering that you're able to meet with guys over the summer, do you notice a few days in a big difference in level of preparedness? I don't know if it's just the freshmen or maybe with everybody.
You know, everybody really. It's a combination of a couple of things. It's a lot of guys that are returning that it's funny. I was talking with Tony, I believe in this a little bit ago. Watching last year's spring cut-ups, you weren't watching 40% of our guys that you know we added in the summer that we were relying on to play. You know, this year we're adding very few guys to summer. So the people that we coached in the summer, the people that we coached all summer, in spring and all summer, are the same guys that we're coaching right now. So much of the coaching staff is back. You know, look, offensively, we were working with 3 new guys on offense last year from a coaching perspective, and that's not happening either. So continuity in the chemistry is much better as a result of experienced players and being able to be around them a lot more than we were.
Now, when that ruling came down the pike, is that something that you thought it surprised you, or was it something that was long overdue?
No, we can't. As coaches, we campaigned for it for several years. You know, so yeah, I guess the downside is not a lot of separation time between coaches and players. Everybody gets sick of each other at times. So you got to, you know, we didn't wear them out. You know, we didn't get around them too much, but it was something that we campaigned for. Glad it went through.
This is getting partly. You talked about press versus media and some things. You've never been a guy, I think, who likes to play 2 quarterbacks or alternate. You got a guy who can because he looks different than anybody else. Is there a chance that you could find a package for a guy like that and just run that package?
Yeah, we're not. For instance, the plays that we call when Williams out there is not the same plays that we call when Clint's out there. because that's a little bit too technical for him right now, you know, so we're just running basic stuff with him right now. Because again, you can overload a guy and it's hard. There's a reason why Johnny Manziel redshirted. There's a reason why Jameis Winston redshirted. Those are your latest two Heisman Trophy guys. You know, so to answer your question, yes, we're already doing that. We're keeping it fairly basic for him. We want him to experience some success, not get too overloaded, and the more we feel like he can handle based on how the film looks, the more that we will be able to do with him. So I don't know how advanced we can get. So to answer your question, yes, how big that package is, I don't know.
Could you see creating a package though?
Oh yeah, I'd like to.
That you
Absolutely.
wanted to actually use, not have to use because you're.
Correct.
out there.
Yeah, I would like to do that if he continues to progress, because I think he's a pretty good player. But again, I don't want to put too much on his plate. So if that package doesn't look very good, then we won't do it. And if he improves over the next 3 weeks, that those specific things that he can do well, if he can do things better than what Clint can do with Clemson there, then we'd be more than happy to do that.
What about your downfield passing? Are you seeing more vertical stuff?
It's a big deviation.
Yeah, we are.
It's
You
a
know,
big deviation
Clint's
from what we
Clint's
talked
doing
about.
pretty well at that.
Yeah.
He's doing well at it. Mario and Kevin are light years ahead of where they were last year, technique-wise. You know, because we're able to get real specific on technique, because we're not teaching them what to do all the time. And then the timing and the continuity between Clint and those guys is light years ahead of where it was last year. So a lot goes into that. It takes more than just a fast kid to run downfield and a quarterback to be able to throw the ball down there. I mean, it takes more than that. It takes technique and it takes practice. And those guys are much more on the same page than they were at any point last year.
Dan, often teams open with a trap game, a team that they should beat, and the coach may have to even get them up for the opener. You've got the exact opposite kind of problem, I guess, in that your team certainly would be up for Alabama. Do you have to be careful that they don't peak too early during this, and to get them ready for that Saturday in particular?
Yeah, I doubt we'll be overlooking that one. You know, my job gets harder after that game happens, regardless if we win, if we lose. My job gets harder after that game. You know, and we haven't talked a lot about our schedule. It's up. They know who we're playing. You know, the motivation is probably different. You know, that's going to be a huge game and big atmosphere. And won't have to say a whole lot about that, but you know, how you respond from that is probably going to a little bit more. The coaching is going to have to come into play a little bit at that point.
Does Alabama being Alabama work for them in that they intimidate people, or against them because they've got a target on their shirt?
We play lots of good teams in the Big 12. You know they're a storied program, but you know, so is Oklahoma, and so is Texas. And Oklahoma State's pretty good, and TCU's pretty good, and Texas Tech's pretty good, and Kansas State's pretty good. The list goes on. I mean, every game is big, so I don't think our guys will be very intimidated by it. You know, we'll be ready to play, and those guys will go in there, and they'll be excited about that opportunity.
With the rankings that came out last week, you probably don't care about anybody other than yourself right now, but I think there are 3 top 10 teams. You've got on your schedule. Is that fuel to the fire at this point in the year? You're probably not quivering yet. You're not facing them next week.
Haven't talked about it. Don't pay any attention to the rankings. Don't pay any attention to what they think about us at this point either. So, we'll start talking about the first game about 2 weeks out. You know, and start preparing for the first game about 2 weeks out. You know, I don't have to say anything about it. Those guys know what the schedule is. You know, we're playing one of the most challenging conferences in the country, and arguably have the toughest schedule in the country. We got a couple of those non-conference games, so they know that. They know that, and they view that as an opportunity to be able to have a pretty good year.
How often do you talk about finishing close games? Because that was the thing last year. You talk about that a lot now.
Oh, a ton. Yeah, we've focused on that. That's one of our goals. You know, we got a couple of goals that we talked about in here with the coaches and the players, and one of them is to get better at finishing. You know, that was frustrating last year. it wasn't any more frustrating than it was for myself and the team when you sit in that locker room after losing an overtime game, or or losing a 10-point fourth quarter lead. So yes, we have focused on that since January. We've ran specific drills. Not only have we focused and talked about it, we've done specific drills where we work on finishing things, finishing periods, finishing practices, finishing reps. It's something coaches say a good bit around here.
Maybe the question is, how tired are you of talking about close games?
Better getting your ass kicked. I mean, we're in a good conference. I mean, there's going to be close games. That's the beauty of the situation that we're in with the Big 12. So we're going to be prepared for for close games. We're going to be in them. We need to use our experience and the things that we've been through and the motivation to be able to close those games out.
On Saturday, Shannon compared last year to the Orange Bowl season. He said, really, when you look at it, it's not. You can make the argument that it's not that different, other than the close games broke your way. Yeah. Matter of having those young guys in key positions last year. I mean, do you see the similarities there?
Well, yeah, there was a lot of close games that year too. You know, we had some experienced guys and some talented guys that were able to close those games out the appropriate way. You know, so we had young guys last year that weren't able to close those games out in the appropriate way. You can blame. I mean, I've taken the blame for all of it, but you can blame it on the lack of continuity with coaching staffs or turnover, whatever it is. It just, the ball didn't bounce our way and we didn't close it out. We're using that as motivation, you know, with developing more camaraderie, with having more continuity with staff and players and systems, to where when we're in those situations again, which we will be, regardless if it's the starters in there, if it's backups in there for a variety of reasons, we need to get in there and close them out.
Danny, you mentioned your defense doing fewer things and presumably be getting better at that stuff before expanding it. Offensively, all the things you can run when you run the ball, inside, outside, power stuff, is there a label you would put on what you want to do or what you're good at, or is it going to be kind of, potpourri of?
Yeah, we're still figuring that out. You know, we've simplified things offensively from last year too. Last year we were searching and changing. We've narrowed our package down offensively as well. To just try to get good at the specific things that we need to get good at. I don't know exactly what our identity is going to be. Last year it turned out to be, we had to kind of rely on the run game more than I have in the past, because that's just kind of where our strength was. I want to be multiple. I want to be able to run the ball. I want to be able to throw the ball. And I think we're on track to being able to get good at that, though.
Dana, Coach Sider the other day was comparing Wendell Smallwood to Charles Sims. Would you say that that's a pretty
very much so? Yeah, they're very, very, very similar. We could kind of tell that last year a little bit. And I've made reference to this. I mean, Charles is going to be a great pro. The reason he was the second back taken is because he was versatile. Because they're wanting to do that in the NFL as well, be able to have guys that can run between the tackles but also be a receiver. He left his mark here with the younger guys, and Wendell followed him and learned from him, and they do possess the same skill set. So hopefully we have the same production. I think we can replace Charles with a combination of Wendell and Russell Shell and Bowie and Garrison and Dreamus and all that. So, I think we'll be better at back because we have more bodies.
Dana, Coach DeForest the other day was really talking up Daron Wilson and his role filling in so far. How have you seen him develop and how he's been doing?
Yeah, he's been doing great. He, defense Saturday after defense closed Saturday's practice out by getting after offense pretty good. And Daron made 2 or 3 plays at the end, made an unbelievable interception and had a tackle for loss. Has stepped in for KJ Dillon since KJ's been out. KJ will be back in a few days, but has stepped in there and given us good quality reps. And I rewarded him with the scholarship on Saturday after practice as well. So he's going to be a good one for us.
If you guys have changed the summer, the coaches, both the campaigning and all that stuff, is there a way to tinker with this preseason part? Could you have shared practices with those schools? I don't think you could do scrimmages necessarily, but something more live than one against.
No, I think you just got. I don't know. That's never going to happen. I can assure you of that. I just think you got to continue to build your roster. You got to continue to focus on building your roster to the point where it's at where it is right now. We've got 105 guys out there, you know, that understand what we're trying to do. And so that when you have depth like that, you can practice more. You know, I've been in a situation where I went into camp with about 9 healthy O-linemen or 4 healthy corners. That makes it tough to practice. You know, so because our depth's good, we're able to play a lot of ball. And you just that's got to be a focus each and every year. You know, you're going to lose guys at graduation. I think we've got 20 seniors at this point. There was a time where I thought that number may be about 8, but we have upped it to about 20. And you know, when those guys leave us, which that's just college football, you need to replace them with guys and get them cooked up.
You know, one of those guys who would have been part of the 8th would have been Jelon Snow, and everything he's gone through. You know, there's a time you don't know if he's even going to continue to play football. What do you see from him this year and his ability to kind of take some of the other guys under his wing and show them the ropes?
Yeah, best shape he's ever been in. You know, he's not walking around with the red jersey. He's out there practicing. He's probably our most valuable special teams player at this point. I mean, he's on he's on 6 special teams. He's on every one of them. Probably end up being on more, but you know, just because he's a good football player that's now healthy and knows this is his last opportunity to play ball. So that you take a guy like that. There's only, I think, 5 fifth-year seniors in our program right now. But you take a guy like that, the higher that number goes, the better football team you're going to have because they can do a lot of different things and it means a lot to them.
Any update on your offensive tackles after 4 days?
Same thing, you know, Pankey and Marquise they're the same, you know, and then Marcel and Sylvester are young guys that just need reps, you know. So we're really looking for the 3rd tackle right now. I mean, we got our 2 starters; those guys need to continue to get better, and hopefully they can hold up. You know, neither one of those guys have been counted on to play a full game, so you know, I think they're ready. I know they're ready. We need a 3rd tackle in case something happens.
Dana, what's the new kids that aren't here yet? McCrary, anything?
No
new on
change on
that?
any of those 4 at this point.
Dan, what's Horton James' situation?
He's just going through some things that he needs to get worked out. He's here. He's just not in camp.
He's here, not in camp.
Yeah,
he's in school.
He's not ready to go yet. I'm evaluating his progress, and he's enrolled for school for fall, so I anticipate him being ready to go when school starts.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you guys.